Good Saturday morning to you, or whatever time you might be listening to this. So, ideally, everyone's listening when the show first drops at 7 a.m. every Saturday morning. But that's what's nice about the internet and podcast and a bunch of different platforms that we may be on. Let me tell you right now, we're on YouTube. We've got our YouTube channels, FECNM, FECNM, and we're on Spotify Podcast and Apple Podcast. So please, I ask you to listen. Trying to build up a listenership. We did a Facebook boost not long ago, and we do have a Facebook page. It's called Morning Buzz with the Energy Guy. You could probably guess that, but if you hadn't already, or if you're a new listener, yes, this is Morning Buzz with the Energy Guy, episode 35. But every Saturday morning, we will upload the show URL to our Facebook page, Morning Buzz with the Energy Guy, and that will be our YouTube. But if you'd like to, at any time, whatever your convenience is, if you're at home or on the road, on the go, wherever, listen to these other platforms, YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcast. So welcome. Hopefully we've got new listeners this week. We did do a Facebook boost and finally invested a little money in trying to get the word out and trying to share. Maybe you're tired of the droning news. It's terrible what's going on in Arizona with the Guthries, but when it dominates the news, it makes it difficult to get any news outside of that. So if you're looking for a new or a different news source, I'll be happy to provide some news for you or my opinion on some things. But mainly the show is focused on energy and how to save money. And of course, we talk about legislation and that kind of thing occasionally. So right now, our CEO here at Farmers Electric Cooperative, this show is sponsored by Farmers Electric Cooperative out of Clovis, New Mexico. And we are taping the show at our headquarters in downtown, or not downtown Clovis. We're actually north of downtown, but in Clovis at our studio, at our headquarters. Let me just put it that way, at Farmers Electric Cooperative. And I'll tell you what, we, CEO Antonio Sanchez and myself went to Santa Fe last week and got to schmooze a little bit with our legislators, and a couple of them in particular, Senator Pat Woods, and Representative Martin Zamora. So we spent some time with them. We had a legislative dinner, and they both attended that, and then the legislative breakfast the next morning. So we were talking to them, and we certainly wanted to shoot down the Democratic-sponsored, I believe it's called New Horizons bill, and it was to codify the governor's order to make New Mexico carbon zero, by 2050. Anyway, that failed, and so she is lame duck, so she won't be around next session. So I don't know what's going to happen if we had codified, or the legislature had codified that and made it state statute law. It would have hurt business. It would have hurt small business. It would have hurt large business. It would have hurt the farmers. It would have hurt the ranchers. It would have hurt the residents. It would have hurt everyone. So there wasn't a lot of common sense put into that bill. So thankfully, it was defeated. A couple other things that are. Senator Pat Woods has been trying to pass a wildfire mitigation bill that will limit liability on cooperatives and investor-owned utilities that appear to have had some responsibility in starting a wildfire to litigation, limitations on punitive damages and that sort of thing. Because in short order, particularly with a cooperative, if there's a big lawsuit against them, you could bankrupt a cooperative pretty quickly. And then who's going to serve the rural folks with their electricity needs. So again, that's actually some common sense legislation that is still in the works in Santa Fe as we speak anyway. Another one that's being debated today, I'm not sure which committee, but is it a House committee? I can't recall which one, but it's the gun bill. I think it's Senate Bill 17 that outlaws semi-automatic rifles, at least rifles. I can't recall if it includes pistols or not, but gas operated, any rifle capable of accepting 10 round or greater than 10 round magazine, 50 caliber rifle, and any magazines greater than 10 rounds. And along with that, kind of as a caveat, there for those that already have these, they won't be able to sell them lawfully in the state of New Mexico, and they would have to be registered, which would include owner's name, owner's address, model number, and serial number, and then quantity of magazines greater than 10 rounds. And I know for New Mexicans, the greater percentage of New Mexico is a trampling our Second Amendment right and probably would not hold up. It would be found by the Supreme Court to be unconstitutional, but yet they still keep trying to pass these things. So keep those in mind. If you feel led to do this, call your congressman, your senator, at the state level anyway, and tell them how you feel about it. Both of those bills. We would be for the wildlife mitigation limitations on lawsuits and against the gun control bill. But I'll get off that. And I had a visitor this last week, Ann Harvey. I want to give her a little bit of a shout out. She's with Pioneer Utility Resources. They're actually the group that handles the publication, layout, and publication of the Enchantment statewide magazine. You guys are familiar with Enchantment. It's been around for years and years and years, decades for that matter. And great magazine, especially the last couple of months have been outstanding. Tom Condit's written a couple of great articles. This last month, Tillman Stevens, my cohort out of Roosevelt County Electric down in Portales, neat little article on he and his family and his background, how he ended up in eastern New Mexico, being a Houston native. But neat story. Read that. I would encourage you to read that. Tom's doing a great job at Enchantment. He is the editor, managing editor, at least at the statewide level. But anyway, Ann Harvey, she's from the Texas Hill Country herself, and she's on vacation, she and her husband. And this past week, they were headed to Santa Fe to just for a little R&R, rest and relaxation, kind of a mini vacay. But she stopped in, and we had a great meeting. It was more than a meeting. It was like a get-to-know-you session. And she's fantastic. She's been involved in co-ops and businesses associated with co-ops for 35 years or so. But she brought me some freshly ground coffee. She said her team at Pioneer ground the coffee themselves from whole beans, so I thought that was neat. And she brought me a little Yeti custom coffee mug. And I am fighting, guys. I continue to fight this cough and this whatever tickles going on in my throat. So I've got this big glass of ice water here. I'm going to take a real quick sip. But it's really unproductive, this cough, and it's dry. And, man, it's irritating. So I apologize in advance. I'm going to probably be coughing or clearing my throat occasionally. But back to Ann, she brought me this Yeti custom coffee mug, which is really cool. Normally, I've been gifted those in the past, maybe 2 or 3 times, and I always re-gift those within the office. This time I thought, you know what? I enjoyed Ann so much and visiting with her. Each time I drink my coffee, I'm going to think of that meeting that we had, that little visit fondly. So I kept it for myself. But we're off to a beautiful new relationship. Brew, like BREW, like coffee. Anyway, that's one of the things they're marketing right now. And apparently they do more than just the Enchantment. They do a lot of marketing and They offer, and of course, there's cost that comes with each one of these, but it's not significant necessarily. They handle co-ops, social media completely. You just kind of give them an idea what you want to do, and they run with it. They answer messages for you on social media that you may receive. Who knows? In the middle of the night, they've got somebody standing by. So this Pioneer is not some kind of local Yoko company. They are full-fledged international. So they've got they've got people working for them all over the world in every time zone. So I was really educated with our little meeting with Ann. But so Pioneer, they're not just the enchantment. Shout out to one of the assistant editors there, Nina Todia. She's the assistant editor and works closely with me. She's very good at what she does. I can send her a bunch of gobbledygook content, for the enchantment, and she does her magic and makes it look and sound great. And month after month I've worked closely with Nina, probably never met her, just through just through email, but just seems like a very, very sweet lady, and I appreciate her. Ann and Nina, thanks for what you do. Shout out to you today. Yeah, they've really been so helpful. But so we had a Super Bowl last Sunday. And if you recall, as part of the show, I talked about our line superintendent, Tyler Cabledew. His son, Bryce, plays for the Seattle Seahawks. So he now, and if you remember last week also, and we're at 12 minutes and 24 seconds. So it's going to be an abbreviated show, I think, today, just because this cough has been bothering me so much. And I didn't do anything as far as this day in history or anything like that. So no, Bryce plays for the Seahawks. He's been on injured reserve for about 3 weeks, so he didn't get to suit out, but he still got a Super Bowl ring, and he's excited about it and can't wait. We all here at work can't wait to see that. And we were the whole town of Clovis was behind Bryce and the Seahawks. So since the Cowboys weren't playing, they may be my new team. Unless of course they trade Bryce, the Seahawks trade him to the Cowboys, then Cowboys will still be my team. But I'm going to try to follow Bryce as closely as I can. But if you'll recall, last week, Nostradamus, me, made a prediction, and that Seattle was going to win the game, and I'm 2-0 now on predictions, so I feel pretty good about that. Yeah, isn't that cool? Guy right across the hall from me, his son was in the Super Bowl and has a Super Bowl ring. Not many people can say that. We got an annual meeting coming up, and I want everybody, as far as Farmers Electric members, to put this in their calendar. So I just look forward to visiting with all of you Saturday, April 25th, 2026 at the Cooperative's 88th annual meeting. Can you believe that? In 1938, we started business here in Clovis and have been in Clovis for 88 years and been keeping the lights on for most of that time. Anyway, our annual meeting is going to be held in Clovis this year. It's the first time we've been in Clovis in the last, 15 years or so, and we're going to have that at the Clovis Civic Center. Door prizes will be awarded and lunch will be served following the business meeting. This year, we will be doing something unique for the members' kids aged 12 and under. As soon as the business meeting starts, the kids will be released to go outside and participate in a kite flying clinic. How cool is that? Then as soon as the business meeting is completed, the kids will be asked to return inside to enjoy lunch and chances at door prizes along with their families. Best part, each child will go away with their own kite. And of course, the kite clinic will be weather permitting. Again, that is Saturday, April 25th. Registration starts at 9:30 and the business meeting starts sharply at 10:30. Because Farmers Electric is locally owned and operated, your involvement is crucial. Mark your calendar today and plan to attend the annual meeting of your electric cooperative. So, Morning Buzz with Energy Guys isn't all about energy efficiency. It's about legislation we've already talked about. It's about weather. We talk about weather. We talk about energy efficiency, obviously. We talk about up and coming events. We talk about safety. And that's one thing I want to touch on now. And this is something we run into. Our guys are out working, and there's obstacles. There's stuff that's impeding their work, and it's things that people are doing that make it real inconvenient for, say, our guys to climb a pole or to work around a pad-mounted transformer or something like that. So a lineman's job, is one of the toughest in the business of providing you with electricity, climbing poles and stringing wire and all kinds of weather and dealing with electrical hazards. They're serious matters. You can help make a lineman's job safer by following these simple suggestions. So I've got about 5 of them here for you. So I'm going to start with this one. Don't hang birdhouses or basketball goals on utility electric poles. This happens, folks. And then when there's an outage and everybody's wondering where to get the power on, well, that depends how long it's going to take us to get this basketball goal off the pole so we can climb around it or, make it safe to climb. Linemen, they have a hard time climbing around things like that. And, there's going to be times where the bucket truck isn't available, or maybe you can't get a bucket truck back. Maybe the weather's been so bad and it's boggy and wet and muddy and they can't get it, so they have to walk back and climb. But so if they've got these obstacles, that makes it very difficult. Point number 2, don't landscape around poles or pad-mounted transformers with flower boxes or flower beds. Keep this area free of all obstacles. Don't hang or post signs on utility poles. These could cause the lineman to slip while climbing. They got their hooks. They've got to push those into the wood, and that's what gives them their traction. Even the staples or nails that are left behind from these signs are climbing hazards. So keep that in mind. Just keep things that don't belong on the utility poles. Just keep those off. Finally, don't use electrical equipment for target practice. The damage done not only could harm you, but could also cause an outage affecting hundreds of neighbors. Plus, it's expensive. Our stuff gets shot up, whether that be an insulator that's made out of ceramic, a wire. Maybe you shoot a wire and it breaks, falls down to the ground. Then you got a hazard. You've got an electrical hazard. Plus, you're causing an outage, probably, most likely. Shoot a transformer, that really gets messy and could cause some kind of hazard to you, your neighbors, and of course is expensive to replace. Obviously another thing we talk about is efficiency and how you might save money and that kind of thing. And I talk about that a lot, but I understand that most people learn through repetition. So I talk about caulking around windows and weather stripping around doors, draft barriers, lowering your thermostat, just so many things that you can do that I could say this stuff till I'm blue in the face, and I'm hoping you'll grasp it at some point. I've been doing it a long time, so it's kind of second nature to me. My wife calls me the energy Nazi because, not anymore, because she's seen that it saved us some money. This is the way you can build wealth, is by saving money. Now, I've always believed that a penny saved is a penny earned. That's my mantra. And, I'm not so bad that I squeak when I walk, but my wife does say I'm a little tight. But we've had some cold weather temps, and unfortunately, they weren't on this last round of bills that went out, this cold snap that we had. It was a true Arctic blast that came into our area in eastern New Mexico and far west Texas probably on the evening of Friday the 22nd. Well, guess what? We read everyone on the 22nd, but it was during the day before, because the 22nd, I think the high was like 45. It wasn't that cold, but that night it got down to 10 degrees going into the early morning hours of the 23rd. So with that Arctic blast we experienced during the last during the time period of about January 23rd through the 29th, so about 6 days. Some members, especially those that heat with with electricity, will see their February bills. So those are the ones that they're going to get right around February 1st or 2nd in the mail, will be higher than their January bills. So right now we've had the January bill out, I said February 1st, March 1st. Sorry, March 1st. Those bills that go out March 1st or the 2nd, they'll be in hand about that time. Those are the February bills. Okay, that's for February usage. The January bills that people are paying right now that they've had since February 1, and today is, by the way, today is February 14th, Valentine's Day. Guys, you still have time. You still have time to save your relationship. Go out. Go buy your sweetheart something nice. Take them to a nice lunch or dinner or both, and get them some flowers. Tell them you love them, and you'll be number one in their book. Now, my wife and I, we've been married 38 years, and we talk about this all the time. And I wouldn't say I take her for granted, but maybe that's what I do, and I hate it because she's such a great woman and wonderful wife and wonderful mother to our children. But we talk about, hey, do you want to do something for Valentine's? And she's like, no, maybe we just go out to lunch or something, but I don't necessarily need a gift. But a long time ago, she says, I don't want flowers. I mean, I like flowers, but get me something, they're expensive. They really are. I mean, if you're going to get somebody flowers, you expect to drop $7,500 probably. And I don't mind supporting some of these local florists, but at the same time, that's pretty pricey just for, looking at these flowers for 2 or 3 days and they start dying. She said, I'd rather take that $75 or $100 and buy me some clothes or something like that. So that's kind of what we've done for each other. Not necessarily on Valentine's Day, but just do that kind of thing for us. For us, Valentine's Day is every day, guys. That's really what you need to do. Take one from my playbook. Make Valentine's Day every day. But anyway, I love my wife, and happy Valentine's, babe. She's probably listening to this show right now as we speak. Anyway, this bill that everybody has right now that they are paying or will be paying does not include that cold snap. And they were high. The bills are high, but I promise you they're going to be higher. Okay. So reread the majority of residential meters on January 22nd, one day before that change in weather that I'm talking about. Temps during that period fell as low as 4 degrees with wind chill factors well below zero. Higher winter heating bills have several contributing factors. First, as soon as the sun goes down, temperatures on the high plains plummet, even if the high during the day was relatively mild. Couple that with high north winds and short winter days, heating systems are going to operate harder and longer, all causing more electricity consumption as the winter cold digs in. And it had, particularly a couple weeks ago. It is usage that has increased. I know you're going to be looking at these bills when you get them and think, what in the world happened? I can rest assured no one's been charged arbitrarily extra. Okay. This is a trend that all the regions of eastern Mexico and West Texas have experienced. Whether investor-owned or municipal or cooperative, electric utilities all will have consumers scratching their heads wondering why their bills are so high, because it never fails. We have these cold snaps. People kind of forget about them. It warms up. I mean, we've had 70-degree days this whole week. And that's probably about the time these bills go out, we'll probably have a 70-degree sunny day, and people will be like, why is my bill, so high? It doubled from last month. So I would encourage all Farmers Electric members and all electric consumers within earshot, encourage them to look closely at their bill, particularly most everybody has a graph on their bill of some kind. But for Farmers Electric, it's a graph located on the middle left column of page 1. This graph serves as a reminder of how your bill trends over the year, and is chock full of useful information. So I'm looking at one right now I've got in my hand, and it has the daily temperature graph. It has the monthly lows and monthly highs, and it's got the usage that you use. So those all match up. These graphs kind of look the same. They follow the same line, the same trend. Down below the graph itself, you've got the total for this month in kilowatt hours. So this particular one was a 30-day billing cycle for this person, and they used 1,982 kilowatt hours. Last month obviously was lower because it's gotten colder. And so last month was a 29-day cycle. They used 1,528. So this is nice numbers to compare. This month last year, I guess, probably for this person anyway, probably included some cold period in there, and it was the same 32-day. And this has been a mild winter, except for those 6 days that I'm talking, the 23rd through the how many days was it? The 29th, 6 days, has been mild. But this time last year, the same member used 2,857 kilowatt hours compared to 1,982. And maybe something else changed. Perhaps they had a child living with them. Maybe they've gone off to college, so they're not there this year. Or maybe they had people visiting, through a certain part of that month. And so the usage went up there. But then also it has the average daily cost of electricity, which is 62 kilowatt hours in this customer's case, or this member's case. And basically it's the price of a hamburger, maybe less. Not with all the fixings, not with the sides or the drink, $7.38. So 24 hours of electricity, is that worth $7.38 with everything you get to do with it? Excuse me, which would include cooking, all kinds of cooking, baking, coffee, washing your dishes, washing your clothes, charging your phones, playing your video games, watching your favorite television shows, using your electric blanket, keeping your house warm, keeping your, this, that, and the other thing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'd say $7.38 per day is a pretty good deal. So look at that, Farmers Electric members. Again, that is page 1 of your bill, middle left column. That graph is there. And again, it serves as a reminder of how your bill trends over the year and in the last month, and can be really helpful for you. Keeping a house warm and comfortable during cold winter days and nights often results in the use of additional heating methods such as heat lamps, space heaters, resistant backup heat, and other high usage devices. And that's what folks were using during that 6-day period, because there were some folks out there, it's 4 degrees outside Fahrenheit, and it's negative 8 degrees wind chill with wind out of the north. And if you've got a outside facing, if you've got let's say you've got pipes on an outside wall that are on the north side of your house, they're going to get super cold, and they may even freeze. And the last thing you want them to do is burst. So we were encouraging everybody to drip their faucets and that kind of thing. But another thing we encouraged was open your cabinets and put a space heater down there. And there was a zonal heat, and that was a zone. The zone was your kitchen under the cabinets. But that usage, plus if you had 2 or 3 more throughout your house, and maybe you had your heat lamps on your chicken coop, maybe you had a space heater in your well house. Who knows what you might have had, but those are the things you might not necessarily think about when you get your bill when it's 70 degrees outside. But we know this can be frustrating. We want to work with our members as much as we can. If you are lower income and or elderly, you may qualify for help with your winter utilities through LIHEAP, LIHEAP. And that is through the New Mexico Department of Human Services, DHS. So you can look that up. Just Google LIHEAP, New Mexico. And once you do that, click on the Department of Human Services link that will come up in a Google search. And then there's a page that quote says, looking for assistance. If you don't already have an account, you will need to create one. After that, just follow the instructions. Additionally, through the Department of Human Services, or DHS, you will find other forms of assistance, including help with childcare, food, living expenses, medical, and others. Ladies and gentlemen, we know these are tough times, and you might have fallen on harder times by, maybe you're a single parent. Maybe someone just lost their job. There's a number of things that can affect regular income. And we just want to be as helpful as possible, particularly when it comes to your electric bill. If you can't make your entire electric bill, call us. We'll work with you. We will set up payment arrangements. But once you set up those payment arrangements, we're going to expect you to stick to them. Okay. But once you get past these higher bills in the wintertime, and then things start slowing down a little bit in the spring, where you don't need much heat and no air conditioning, you just open some windows and cool off the house that way, your electric consumption is going to drop considerably. So the days are going to be longer, so you won't be using these lights as much. But I tell you what, we have one more thing that'd be helpful for you, and it's to further help combat rising electric usage. FEC, Farmers Electric Cooperative, offers a pamphlet entitled Energy Saver Tips. You can call us today, and I don't care who you are. If you happen to be, you can be in Timbuktu, as long as you got a zip code and an address. I'll mail you one of these for free. But just call us today, 575-762-4466. You can ask for the Energy Guy. That's me, Tom Moore, or anyone can help you that answers the phone. Again, that number is 575-762-4466, and we can put one of these in the mail to you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 32 minutes after the hour. I appreciate your undivided attention and hope you've enjoyed today's episode 35 of Morning Buzz with the Energy Guy. We'll see you next week. You know what? I pushed the wrong button, and so I'm getting pretty good at that. Let's try that again. We'll see you next week on Morning Buzz with the Energy Guy. Have a good week.